You are ready for today and ready to learn about accessible tourism and events for the southwest of Australia. So if it's your first time joining us, welcome to the Two Wise Monkeys live webinars. This is our last day, like I said before, so if you are interested in catching up on the webinars that you've missed, you can jump onto our website, which is www.30footdrop.com.au, and you can catch up on parts 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Other than that, if you've missed them and you're a business owner, then please contact us to come and do live workshops with your team members. So that is what we do, and we hope to be seeing some of you very soon. So first off, for today, I would like to do an acknowledgement of country. 30 Foot Drop acknowledges the traditional owners of country throughout Australia and recognises their continuing connection to land, waters and the community. We pay our respects to the Indigenous people, their cultures and beliefs, to both the elders past and present. The funding for our workshops. 30 Foot Drop would like to acknowledge the Department of Communities Disability Services for funding this and many other events. Without their support, so many projects such as this Two Wise Monkeys project wouldn't see the light of day, and we'd be much more poorer as a community. So we thank them very much for the funding. This workshop is part of a Realities and Advantages of an Access and Inclusion grant awarded to 30 Foot Drop as part of a Information, Linkages and Capacity Building grant for 2018 and 2019. I'll just now go over some housekeeping on how we run our webinars. Unfortunately, we do not have all the resources to monitor all of the platforms live. So what that means is if you do have a message that you would like to send us through the live webinars, you'll just need to follow the link below, which is the www.30footdrop.com.au/live. Hit the live box and you'll be able to send us a direct message. Please make sure that if you talk about us, that you tag us, tag our page, the 30 Foot Drop page, and on the LinkedIn and Facebook, because the more people that know about what we're doing, the better we're going to be able to change our community and our thoughts towards disability and impairment. We'll be covering a lot of information in a short period of time, so we ask attendees just to try and minimize any distractions, but we understand that can be a little bit hard sometimes. Every session is recorded, so if you need to pop out of the room or get interrupted, then you will be able to rewind and go back and watch it. And all of the information that we speak about throughout the webinars, there's a lot more detail of this information on our website. So that's on the 30 Foot Drop website. If you wanted to look deeper into stats or research or readings, anything we speak about, all the information is available on our 30 Foot Drop website page. At the end of the webinar, we do have a short survey that we would be really grateful if you guys could fill that out before you go. There's only a few questions, and that's a matter of following the link below this video, tapping in part 6 survey and filling it out. There's only a few questions on there, and that'll help us to change things and get feedback from everyone. Okay, so that is the housekeeping. Let's now go to the Two Wise Monkeys. I'm Lisa and I am one of the Two Wise Monkeys. I am Hear No Evil. The other monkey is Ben and he is See No Evil. And through Ben, he realised that people just don't know enough about disability and impairment and how to approach people, and people are just not educated. So that is why we are here together to try and educate people and let people know the real truths behind employing people with a disability, the tourism market, the marketing around disability, everything that's going to help your business, boost your business through tapping into this untapped market of disability and impairment, and also realizing that we are all equal and everyone deserves to be included. So Ben will be on tonight, so if you want to come and watch him, you will see him tonight and he will be able to tell you his story. But my story is more of a hidden story. Mine is a hidden impairment. Back 30 years ago, I was born 10 weeks premature, and at the age of 8, my family realised that I was struggling a little bit in school and I had to go and have lots of heart checks and all of these things because there was a little bit of a heart issue when I was born. Anyway, all the testing got done, as well as a test for learning disability, and it came up that I was mildly dyslexic. So, school was a struggle. One teacher used to hit me on the head and yell at me, "Why don't you understand what's wrong with you?" Another teacher used to would read the low marks out to the class. That teacher would read out everyone's mark to the class, say it was a maths test, and read out mine. And of course mine wasn't very high, and that's really humiliating and embarrassing and definitely should not be done. Anyway, growing up with that was difficult. I had to go to extra tuition before school, which I hated. I didn't understand why was I the only one. There was a few others in my class that did struggle as well. But it's really frustrating as a kid knowing that you're behind and that you can't quite grasp what everyone else is grasping. Anyway, at the age of 13, I realised in art class that, hey, I can actually draw, and the teacher was holding up my artwork and saying, "Oh, look at Lisa's work. She's captured the still life really well, and this is how you're meant to draw and shade and blah blah blah." So I found out that I'm actually okay at something. So that gave me a lot of confidence to go ahead and use that to my advantage. So I ended up studying art, getting an arts diploma. I've got a diploma in framing museum grade artwork. I did picture framing and museum gallery work for 12 years. It's taken me all around the world where I've been gallery manager, framing manager, used to teach people, start from scratch, get them ready for exams and all of these things. So once you find something that you're good at and you're passionate about, don't give up on those dreams, because you will get where you need to be. And don't let teachers or other people around you get you down because you're not the most amazing mathematician or speller, because at the end of the day, no one's perfect, no one's going to be good at everything, and it's just a matter of finding out what you are good at. You might be good with your hands and building things. You might be good at maths only. You might be good at talking in front of people. There's just all sorts of things that you'll be good at. So don't let that impairment or disability bring you down. I know it's hard, but let's all work together to bring it to a more positive side of life. So the other monkey, isn't there supposed to be 3 wise monkeys? We've got see no evil, hear no evil, and speak no evil. So today, who is speak no evil? Today it is you. So the aim of today's workshop is to turn you into that wise monkey. You will begin on a journey of realizing that, impairment or not, we are all human and deserve to be acknowledged and treated in the same way as anyone else. Such an important message. We all need to be treated the same, no matter what our disability, no matter what our impairment. Like I said before, no one is perfect. And if you do want to become that wise monkey, speak no evil, we do have these beautiful t-shirts available in black and white on our website under shop. We have them from size 5 kids size all the way up to size 5 adult size. So if you'd like one of those, jump onto the shop and have a look. Now I'm going to go over the outline and method of today's workshop. So how are we going to get you started on the path of a wise monkey? Well, there's a lot to learn about people with impairment and their potential impacts they can have on your business. Today's session is all about how businesses can meet the specific needs of this market in order to tap into the business and create change and inclusive ideas. We will finish off our focus on tourism and events by having a look at the future. The southwest of Western Australia has the potential to grow this market, and we will look at how we can do this and accomplish it. To finish the session off, we'll have an open forum session where people can write in any questions that they may have. But if you do have any along the way, please feel free to ask any along the way, which is following that link below, 30-foot drop link, and sending a message in. So, How are we going to cover this, and what is our teaching method? The answer with us at the Two Wise Monkeys workshops is fun, experience, and open, honest discussions. If we can't be open and honest about how we're feeling, how we're affected, then things aren't going to change. If we keep it inside and we're not talking about it in a positive, nice way to businesses or services, then they're not going to change what's happening. So if you notice something that a business isn't inclusive or accessible, just politely let them know, hey, I came to go to your business, but unfortunately I didn't make it in the door because I couldn't actually get in the door with my mobility scooter, my mobility aid, things like that. So let's just all work together and educate each other, but in a positive way. You'll notice as well that there is very little written content on the slides, and that is so that it's easy for us to all interact with each other, making it easy for people with disability and impairment to follow it easily as well. And here at the Two Wise Monkeys workshops, we don't believe in death by PowerPoint. It's not complicated, it's easy to follow. And if you do have a hearing impairment and you would like subtitles, you can jump over to our Facebook platform, the 30-foot drop platform. This will be running live right now. Turn it down, turn the sound down, and you will get subtitles to this webinar, which is an amazing thing that Facebook have done, and hopefully other platforms are going to follow that. Now I'm going to go over the terminology review, which is the difference between disability and impairment and access versus inclusion. So a lot of people get these words mixed up, thinking that disability and impairment mean the same thing, and also access and inclusion, whereas they don't. So I will explain why now. First up, I'm going to talk about impairment. Impairment is an injury, illness, or congenital condition that causes or is likely to cause a loss or difference of physiological or psychological function. In short, an impairment is your medical diagnosis. So my medical diagnosis is that I have mild dyslexia. A disability, on the other hand, is the loss or limitation of opportunities to take part in society on an equal level with others due to social and environmental barriers. It is, as the word implies, something that makes you unable to access or participate in something. So you're disabled, you're unable to get into something or use something because of your disability. So an example for my dyslexia would be too much wording, complex information, and sometimes stylized script can be hard for people with a learning disability or dyslexia to understand, which then makes it hard for us to get the right information that we need to use your business or service. Now, this is especially important to know because some people's impairments are hidden. And if you're not making your business easy to understand, then that hidden market are walking away from your business and you probably don't even realize. So please make sure that your websites, your marketing, everything is clear and easy to follow. A little bit like what we've done with the webinar, there's nothing confusing, it's bright and clear and simple, and that is the best way. Less is always best. So that's an example for someone like me. Now let's talk about access and inclusion. Access refers to the removal or reduction of barriers, physical and attitudinal, to participate in activities and functions of a community. At its core, access focuses a lot on the physical world around us and can be assessed with a checklist. So this is things like cafes and restaurants. Are your doors wide enough for someone using a mobility aid or a mobility scooter or wheelchair to actually get in the door? Because if they can't, they're not going to be coming into your business or your restaurant or your cafe. So on our website, we do have an accessibility checklist that is under resources. So if you want to go around your business, grab the checklist and see if it is accessible. There's a lot of little things that probably don't make any difference to the normal average human being, but will make such a big difference to someone with an impairment or disability. Are your door handles at a good level for someone to reach that's in a wheelchair? Is your door actually too heavy for someone to push open that uses a mobility aid? All these sorts of things that you need to look at and make sure that they are accessible to everyone. So that is access. So jump on our website and have a look at the checklist and go around your business and check your business. Last one is inclusion. Inclusion is more of a psychological state of being and is a process hereby every person, irrespective of their age, disability, gender, religion, sexual preference, or nationality, who wishes to, can participate fully in all aspects of an activity or service in the same way as every other member in the community, helping them to feel included in activities and services in the community. So no matter how we appear, our disability, our impairment, our religion, our sexual preference, we all need to be included. Everyone deserves the right to equal rights and to be included into every kind of business. You're not going to feel included if you're in a mobility scooter, you go to a restaurant and they say, oh, sorry, you can't come in the front door, but you can come through the kitchen. That's not really inclusive. So let's take a look at this, take a step back and think about how you can make your business more inclusive. So that is the terminology of those words. We will now get into today's info, which is specific needs of the market. In session 5, we discussed the similarities between travellers with an impairment and the rest of the population, showing that there is much of an overlap. Despite the similarities to the general population, there are some important differences and specific needs we need to talk about. Travellers with an impairment have a strong tendency to manage the stresses and uncertainties of travel by returning to destinations that they know well. Consequently, they appear to have a higher rate of repeated visitation to businesses that support their needs, meaning that they are very loyal customers. The accessible tourism in Victoria and Queensland reported that there are 3 main subjects which are specific to their needs, which can be used to attract this market. These are information, planning, and service. Let's now go over these 3 things. First up is information. Travellers with an impairment need more support in planning their experiences if they are to travel as much as they wish to. Also, for it to be an enjoyable experience rather than a stressful one. Because let's face it, who wants to go on holiday if it's going to be stressful? Not me. Overall, more detailed information that is currently being provided is the highest priority for this market. So there's not enough information being provided for people with disability and impairment to be able to travel, particularly those with limited mobility. While this mostly related to digital resources such as websites and site reviews, it could also refer to information travellers look, including in destinations and overseas tours. Also, more than just having long documents with complex information, we need information that is relevant. Most places already have different measures in place. Let them know by putting it on your website and on your profiles such as TripAdvisor or Expedia. As well, make information easy to find and absorb. This specifically relates to accessible tourism information, which is not prominently displayed or very complex. So you need it to be, if you've got it on your website, have a little button that is going to explain to people the accessibility of that business for people with impairment and disability. If it's not on your main menu, then people are probably just going to walk away from your business. So make sure it's prominent and easy to find. As we discussed in a previous session, this is a decisive market segment, and people with impairment are more likely to stop a transaction or discourage others from using your business because their needs were not met. Definitely something to think about. If you're giving off a negative approach and you're not meeting their needs, then they're going to go and tell everyone, because who doesn't want a stressful holiday? You want everything to run smoothly. You want to know your answers. You want to know that you're welcome. Information needs to be well structured rather than a 50-page document with all of the information on it. This can also be very overwhelming for many people. Look at breaking it down into smaller and logical parts. For example, one part on how to let the business or service know what you need, and then another part where people can access your ramps, toilets, and acrod bays. You could have a map on there as to where everything is within your business so that they can see straight away, oh yep, they've got that there, and that there. That's great, let's go there. Information needs to be relatable. When choosing accommodation, attractions, or experiences, including a range of images that cover impairments would help the potential traveller feel like they are choosing an option they feel comfortable and included to go to. We go over that more on webinar part 4 if you wanted to go back and watch that. As discussed earlier, when you can relate to the marketing, you subconsciously feel welcomed. Now, information continued. Let's have a look at the specific findings from the report that relates to information. When asked what the number one priority to drive the accessible tourism market is, the most mentioned was information provision. If you make it easy to find and are highly accessible, then you will increase the chances of attracting more customers to your business. Something important we all need to do now, because the markets and the tourism market especially is at an all-time low. So let's tap into a market that we may not have even taken into account before, which is awful, but let's change that. 41% wanted information contained on review sites like TripAdvisor that was relevant to travellers with specific needs. There are many resources as to what these are, which you can have a look at this on our website under the resources. A subject brought up many times was the idea of introducing an accreditation system that shows businesses that have made the commitment and implementation of accessible travel systems. This would be an amazing step forward for people with impairment and disability and would target that unserved market. So what it is businesses get their business assessed by an accessibility assessor. The assessor will say, right, 1 star or 5 star, depending on how accessible. Then people with disability and impairment, or anyone really, can go on the website and say, oh, I like this hotel in this area, I like this, and this. Let's check the star rating. Oh, it's only a 1, so we're not really going to go there, but it's a 5-star accessible, or if it's a 5-star accessible rating, you're going to choose that. And it's easy, and you've got your answer straight away, and it's been assessed by a professional. So fingers crossed that's going to happen soon. When asked what the priority for improvements to this market was, 86% rated that the addition of more practical information as very important. This included locations of acrod bays, which are parking bays, toilets, and accessible ramps. 83% rated an increase of prominent information on tourism and transport websites. So 86 and 83, very high percentages on what they are needing and not getting. So hopefully if you're watching and you own a business, you will realize this and make some changes. Let's move now on to planning. People with impairment, especially those with mobility issues, have specific needs that, if not met, makes visiting a business or event impossible. With all the effort and costs it takes to plan a trip or to visit somewhere, lots of research is done beforehand to ensure that these resources are not wasted. 40% of respondents stated that not knowing what to expect was a barrier to travel, highlighting the benefit of more detailed information being made available before planning their trip. As you can see, there is a need for expert advice at the planning stage if you want to attract this market. Creating relationships and prompting your accessibility on platforms such as disability forums, peak bodies in the area, specialist travel agents, or even the NDIS coordinators are all important. Internally, you could appoint an accessibility coordinator, someone within your business who is knowledgeable in all aspects of accessibility within your organisation. This person would be responsible for answering all the questions and queries and also to create strong relationships. This coordinator would also address the next point in the research. Specifically, the research highlighted a strong preference to connect with a business or destination personally by phone or email. This would provide the potential customer with information in a rapid and accurate manner, increasing the likelihood of converting it to a sale. That personal connection is so important, and this is especially important for someone with a disability or impairment, because they are going to need the answers fast. They need to know what's there and what's not there, and if it's not there, then unfortunately they can't use your business. They can't just wait till they get there and think, oh, let's just wing it, because you can't wing it with disability and impairment. You need to know that businesses have what you need, otherwise you can't go. So let's provide them with that info. Traditional travel agents with a strong service ethic could also be important in driving this conversion, particularly for older travellers and those who have lower support needs. Many clients have low expectations, so this advice could expand their interest and create demand for more products. Travellers with impairment find it hard to be inspired when they don't know what is possible, and having an advocate for that would be a huge win. And I don't understand why there's not already this. They need specialist travel agents that are going to say, look, you can come in and see me, I know what you're going to need, and I'm going to find it for you. It's another whole market you could look at. Okay, like service. There are still many challenges with regards to attitudes and understanding from tourism, hospitality and event staff, and those of the public towards travellers with an impairment or disability. This is especially a challenge for younger travellers with an impairment and those with hidden impairments who require support in less obvious ways, should I say. Top service by all staff is a key driver for recommendations across all travel categories. And as we all know, good service drives more customers. Cost is also very important for many travellers with an impairment or disability, as many need to travel with a carer or extra equipment, making their travel way higher, double the cost. Assistance with these costs, including via the National Disability Insurance Scheme or via a special deal with those with a carer or extra equipment, would assist removing the barriers to travel. And this would also have a ripple effect in regards to ethical consumerism, as discussed in an earlier session. So important. You could think about offering the carers half price, or the carers free, or little things like that are going to be able to give people with impairment and disability the chance to come and visit your business or service, because the carer is another cost to them. So definitely something to think about within your business. Growing the market in your region is the last lot of things to discuss today. So we have looked at the opportunities and needs of this segment and what potential we can tap into. How are we going to grow this, and what needs to be done? Who needs to be involved? The opportunity to grow this market is a multifaceted project in which all key stakeholders have a role to play. So who are these stakeholders? First up, we have people with impairment, their families and their carers. These are people who will be served by this project, and having a direct understanding of their needs is critical at every stage. They should be central to every decision made. Don't go and make decisions without discussing it with someone with a disability or impairment. You need to make sure it's right from the start. Peak bodies that represent both tourism and the disability sector also need to make choices alongside the people with disability to ensure that they know and understand the needs that need to be met. Who else needs to be involved? The government on state and local levels for infrastructure, decision management and organisations such as visitor centres, tourism and event service providers. These are all people that need to get involved to bring this together and to build a better future for every human being. Growing the market in the region. There are a few stages to go over. This part is intended as an executive overview of the stages. This is by no means a how-to must-do. We realise that there is much more involved, but in being said, let's talk about it. The 5 stages that are required to grow this market are consult, inspire, educate, collate, promote, and lastly build. Let's now go over these a bit closer and talk about the stakeholders that need to be involved. Growing the market in your region, Part 1, consult. This should be the foundation of accessible tourism. It should ensure that what is offered is built on a rich understanding of what travellers with an impairment want and need. This is the responsibility for all stakeholders, but government and destination management officers can also take lead, as they have the resources and skills to undertake projects and research to then guide others. Stage 2, inspire and educate. Ensure that the industry has an understanding of the potential of this sector and is provided support on how to start targeting it. Government destinations, peak bodies, all have a role in driving this. Further to that, many travellers with an impairment have low expectations of what is available, while their aspiration for travel is high. The task here is to encourage them to explore and test the boundaries. Peak bodies and service providers can play a strong role here, and so can individual operators. So here is a picture of Ben with his wife and son, and he was talking with friends. His friend was going to abseil down the tallest building in Perth. Someone overheard Ben saying, "Oh man, if I could do that, I'd do it," type thing. So peak bodies, people came together and they made it work. Ben abseiled down the tallest building in Perth in a wheelchair. So when people come together, you can make changes and you can make things happen. And that's what we are trying to do. Make changes, make things happen, make people listen and educate people. So that is awesome. Very brave. Growing the market, stage 3. Is collate. This is about bringing the experiences together to provide a holistic offering in key destinations, and some key destinations will help the traveller plan and navigate their trip. Government and peak bodies in both the tourism and disability sectors and service providers can all potentially play a role in identifying new areas of experience and product development or supporting infrastructure. Governments can work with the sector in a number of ways, including improving accessibility standards in the industry and developing infrastructure that considers the complete user's experience. Growing the market, stage 4, promote. Many travellers are not aware of what is on offer. Therefore, it is important to promote what is available to generate demand. The information needs to be easy to find, well structured, and provide the opportunity to develop further planning and to build confidence in the experience or trip. This is the responsibility of all businesses and destinations. And lastly, growing the market, stage 5 is build. While it's not the highest priority for now, new infrastructure needs to be the subject of ongoing focus. Ensuring that new infrastructure employs universal design principles, which will make this opportunity more cost-effective for the future. This is a cross-industry responsibility. It is important for new businesses and companies to follow these standards, and it's also the responsibility of people with impairment and disability to generate this demand. So what this is instead of building a new building and not really taking into consideration what the accessibility things are that you need, there's so many buildings getting built, and at the last minute or when it's finished or not even then, they're realizing, oh, hang on a minute, someone in a wheelchair actually can't get in the door. It's not actually accessible. There's no one checking it. The building supervisors or whatever, they don't look at that stuff. Things just get signed off and built. They don't check the accessibility. So we need to start getting it right from the beginning. making sure that it's accessible straight away when it's built before spending money afterwards and wasting your time pretty much. So let's get it right from the beginning. There's so much to do and change, and we hope that you can understand the changes that need to be made. And we hope that you feel educated and willing to make these changes for a better future for every human being. So that is tapping in part 6, and thank you so much for joining me. This is the last live webinar I will be doing. So if you have some questions for me about what we've spoken about today, or anything in the past, or any future workshops, please message me. If you do have to go, please fill out the tapping in part 6 survey. But please think about any other business or any other people that you think would benefit from these webinars. We do have these all available as workshops, face-to-face workshops, and we would love to get back out there in the community and educate people. Please contact Bronwyn at 30foot Drop, and she will give you a price list and whether you qualify for subsidies towards doing this training. But thank you very much for joining me, and I will be waiting here for a few minutes for any questions that you have. But if you have to go, thank you very much for today, and have a lovely day. See you soon to everyone else. Welcome back, guys. There doesn't appear to be any questions this morning, so that is fine. Thank you so much for joining me today. Please, before you go, jump on the link below and fill out the Tapping in Part 6 survey. And thank you very much for joining us throughout these webinars. We have really enjoyed doing them and hope that you all have benefited from them. And please remember, if you want to recommend anyone to do these, they are now going to be available to purchase through the 30-foot drop team. Thank you very much, and I will hopefully see some of you in the face-to-face talks. Thank you very much. Bye.